The crystal champagne flute felt cool against my fingers as I navigated through the crowd at the Grand Millennium Hotel. My father's 60th birthday celebration was in full swing, and here I was, playing waitress because he thought it would teach me humility. "More champagne, Lucas," my brother James called out mockingly. "Since you're so good at serving drinks, maybe you should make it your career." If he only knew that while I was holding this serving tray, my company's IPO paperwork was being finalized. In exactly 43 minutes, Phoenix Industries would go public, and the family who thought I was a failure would learn what real success looked like. I'm Lucas Chun, though in certain circles I'm known as LC Holdings, the mysterious tech conglomerate that's been revolutionizing everything from artificial intelligence to clean energy. But to my family, I'm just the disappointment who walked away from Chun Global 5 years ago to play with computers. "Lucas," my father's sharp voice cut through the murmur of conversation. "Table 3 needs refills. At least try to be competent at something." Richard Chun, tech industry titan, and my father stood surrounded by his usual entourage. My stepmother Victoria dripped in designer jewelry, while James held court with potential investors, bragging about Chun Global's latest acquisitions. I adjusted my simple black suit, Tom Ford, though they'd never notice, and made my way to table 3. The CNBC reporter sitting there barely glanced at me, too busy preparing for what she thought would be tonight's big story, Chun Global's expansion announcement. She had no idea she'd be breaking a very different headline in less than an hour. "Still playing waiter, little brother?" My sister Sarah's voice dripped with false sympathy. "Though I suppose someone has to serve the drinks while the adults discuss business." I kept my expression neutral as I topped off her champagne. "Just doing my part, Sarah. Someone has to keep the glasses full." She sniffed, adjusting her Cartier watch. "Well, at least try not to embarrass Dad tonight. James is announcing Chun Global's merger with TechCore Solutions. It's a $500 million deal. Not that you'd understand numbers that big." I suppressed a smile. The TechCore merger wasn't happening. I'd acquired them through a shell company last month. Just another piece in my carefully constructed plan. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. A message from my CFO, stock exchange paperwork complete. Opening bell in 40 minutes. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city skyline glittered with possibility. Somewhere out there, my real empire was preparing to emerge from the shadows. 5 years of strategic acquisitions, technological innovations, and careful planning were about to pay off. "Lucas," my father's voice again. "Stop daydreaming and do your job. These glasses won't serve themselves." I caught the eye of one of the other servers, actually my chief operations officer, Maya Patel, playing her part in tonight's revelation. We'd orchestrated every detail of this evening, down to the specific moment when Phoenix Industries would go public. "Coming, Dad," I called back, gathering empty glasses onto my tray. Each crystal flute probably cost more than what they thought I made in a week. The irony wasn't lost on me. James was already commanding attention at the main table, his custom suit as flashy as his personality. Once the TechCore merger goes through, Chun Global will dominate the AI market. No one will be able to touch us. I checked my watch. 35 minutes until the opening bell. The CNBC reporter was setting up near the windows, preparing for what she thought would be exclusive coverage of Chun Global's big announcement. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from the stock exchange. Final verification complete. IPO approved. Estimated opening price, $185 per share. Sarah sauntered past, arm in arm with her hedge fund manager husband. "Oh, Lucas, be a dear and fetch more ice. That's not too complicated for you, is it?" I nodded politely, remembering the confidential files in my office showing that her husband's fund was about to lose millions betting against Phoenix Industries. Sometimes karma wears a serving jacket. Through it all, my father held court like a king who thought his reign would last forever. If he'd bothered to read the tech industry reports more carefully, he might have noticed the pattern of acquisitions that pointed to a new player in the market. A player who had been serving drinks at his own party. The screens around the ballroom were tuned to financial news, waiting for James's big announcement. In 32 minutes, those same screens would tell a very different story. Sometimes the best disguise is the one people create for you themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, James's voice boomed through the hotel's sound system. In 30 minutes, Chun Global will make an announcement that will reshape the tech industry forever. I arranged fresh champagne flutes on my serving tray, each crystal glass a reminder of how they saw me. Serviceable, but ultimately disposable. Maya caught my eye from across the room, giving me our prearranged signal. The trading floor was ready. "Lucas," Victoria called out, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "When you're done playing waiter, the kitchen needs help with the dishes." Since that's more your level. If she only knew that the small tech startup they mocked had developed the AI system now powering half of Silicon Valley's biggest companies. While they were hosting parties, I'd been revolutionizing quantum computing and renewable energy storage. "Of course, Victoria," I replied quietly, filling her glass. "Anything else you need?" "Yes," she smirked, "some business advice. Your little computer hobby. You should sell it before you embarrass the family further." My phone vibrated. A message from my lead counsel. "SEC filing complete. Press release is ready. Opening bell in 25 minutes. The CNBC reporter, Jessica Torres, was doing live updates from the corner. "We're here at Richard Chen's 60th birthday celebration, where Chun Global is expected to announce a major merger. The tech industry is buzzing with speculation. If she only knew that in 24 minutes, she'd be breaking the biggest tech story of the year, just not the one she expected." "Lucas," James called out, "before I make the announcement, why don't you tell everyone about your latest venture?" "What was it again?" "Some app for tracking pet food." The room filled with polite laughter. I kept my face neutral as I served another round of drinks. Let them laugh. In 20 minutes, those laughs would freeze in their throats. "Actually," Sarah chimed in, "Lucas should stick to serving drinks. At least he can't crash the stock market that way." More laughter. My father joined in, raising his glass. "To success, and knowing your place in the world." Maya approached, still in her server's uniform. "Sir, the trading floor is asking for final confirmation. Current pre-market interest suggests we might open closer to $200 per share." I nodded slightly. "Tell them to proceed as planned. And make sure our friends at TechCore are ready for their part." The screens around the ballroom were showing various financial news channels, all speculating about Chun Global's announcement. The crawler at the bottom was already hinting at the TechCore merger. 15 minutes, James announced, straightening his tie. "Dad, would you like to say a few words before we change the tech world forever?" Richard Chun stood, commanding attention with practiced ease. "When I started Chun Global 30 years ago, I had a vision that my son James has proven worthy of carrying forward. Some people," he glanced dismissively in my direction, "never understand what it takes to build something great. But James," my father continued, "James knows that success comes from thinking big, from making bold moves. His words were interrupted by a commotion near the media setup. Jessica Torres was receiving some urgent information through her earpiece. "Breaking news," she announced suddenly. "We're getting reports of unusual trading activity in the tech sector. Multiple sources indicating a major new player about to enter the market." James frowned. "That's not supposed to happen yet. We haven't announced." "Sir," Maya whispered to me, "stock exchange reports final pricing at $225 per share. Institutional interest is unprecedented." The screens around the ballroom started showing split coverage, half on the Chun Global Party, half on the mysterious market activity. Analysts were already speculating about the identity of LC Holdings, the company behind Phoenix Industries. "What's going on?" Sarah demanded, her husband frantically checking his phone. "This isn't part of the plan." "Ladies and gentlemen," Jessica Torres's voice cut through the growing tension. "We're receiving confirmation that a new tech conglomerate, Phoenix Industries, is about to go public. Early indicators suggest this could be the largest tech IPO in history." The room erupted in confused murmurs. James rushed to the media area, trying to redirect attention to his announcement. But the screens told a different story. Phoenix Industries was already dominating the pre-market headlines. 5 minutes. "Dad." James's voice had lost its confidence. Should we move up our announcement? My father's face had turned an interesting shade of red. Who dares steal our moment? Find out who's behind this. I set down my serving tray and slowly removed my black serving jacket. Underneath was a perfectly tailored suit that probably cost more than James's car. Breaking news, Jessica Torres announced, her eyes wide with excitement. We can now confirm that Phoenix Industries, valued at over $50 billion, is the company behind recent revolutionary advances in quantum computing, clean energy, and artificial intelligence. And its founder, the ballroom screens filled with my corporate headshot. Not the casual server they'd mocked all evening, but the CEO who'd been featured in every major tech publication under a pseudonym. Lucas, my father whispered, recognition and disbelief warring on his face. Ladies and gentlemen, I finally spoke, my quiet voice carrying across the suddenly silent room. I believe it's time for one last drink before the opening bell. The opening bell rang through the ballroom speakers, its sound cutting through the stunned silence like a knife. On the screens, Phoenix Industries stock symbol, PNIX, flashed to life. Opening price, $245 per share, Jessica Torres announced, her professional demeanor barely containing her excitement. Phoenix Industries debuts with a market capitalization of $52.8 billion, making its founder, Lucas Chun, the youngest self-made billionaire in tech history. Impossible, James whispered, his face ashen. You're the family failure. I straightened my tie, Hermes, though they'd finally noticed now, and smiled slightly. Actually, I'm the CEO who just acquired TechCore Solutions last month. The same TechCore you were planning to announce a merger with tonight. The screens behind me told the story in numbers too big to ignore. Phoenix Industries stock was already climbing, up 15% in the first minutes of trading. But the merger papers, James stammered. We've been negotiating for months. With one of my subsidiary companies, I confirmed. Amazing how much information people share when they think they're talking to the help. Victoria stepped forward, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. This is a trick. You couldn't possibly have built something this big without us knowing. Really? I nodded to Maya, who had also removed her server's uniform to reveal an impeccable executive suit. Maya, would you please show them our current holdings? The ballroom screens shifted to display Phoenix Industries' portfolio. Quantum computing patents that had revolutionized data processing. Clean energy technologies that were making fossil fuels obsolete. AI systems that were already running smart cities across 3 continents. Current market value of Phoenix Industries' intellectual property alone, $30 billion, Maya announced. Our acquisition of TechCore adds another $8 billion in assets, not counting the classified military contracts. My father finally found his voice. You've been planning this all along? Ever since you told me I was wasting my time with computer games 5 years ago, I confirmed. While you were hosting parties and making grand announcements, I was building something that actually changed the world. Sarah's husband was frantically typing on his phone. The hedge fund, our shorts against the tech sector, will be very expensive. I finished for him. Phoenix Industries now controls 60% of the markets you bet against. You might want to call your investors. The CNBC coverage was now fully focused on Phoenix's IPO. Analysts were already calling it the most significant tech debut since Google. But why? My father demanded. Why pretend to be a failure? Why serve drinks at your own party? I picked up a champagne flute. Because success isn't about showing off. It's about building something meaningful while others underestimate you. Every time you made me serve drinks, I was learning about your weaknesses. Every party where you seated me with the staff, I was making connections you never noticed. The stock price flashed again, up 22% now. Maya handed me a tablet showing real-time trading data. Sir, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund is requesting an immediate meeting. They're interested in our fusion energy project. Tell them we'll discuss it next week, I replied. After we finish acquiring Chun Global's energy division. The room went completely still. What did you say? James whispered. I smiled, pulling out my phone. Oh, did I forget to mention? While you were planning your big merger announcement, I was buying Chun Global stock through various shell companies. As of this morning, Phoenix Industries owns 51% of your voting shares. The screens confirmed it, showing the complex web of acquisitions that had put Chun Global's fate in my hands. That's not possible, my father roared. I would have known. Would you? I raised an eyebrow. Like you knew your server tonight was actually a billionaire? Sometimes the best moves are the ones no one sees coming. Victoria clutched her designer handbag like a shield. But what about the family legacy? The Chun name? Oh, I'm keeping the name, I assured her. Phoenix Chun Technologies has a nice ring to it, though we'll be making some changes to the management structure. I nodded to Maya, who began distributing tablets to the shocked executives around the room. You'll find your new contracts there, I continued. Those who want to be part of the future are welcome to stay. Those who don't, well, your severance packages are quite generous. James lunged forward. You can't do this. I'm the heir to Chun Global. Actually, I corrected him gently. You're now a minority shareholder in a subsidiary of Phoenix Industries. Though I'm sure we can find you a position, perhaps in customer service. The stock price flashed again, up 30% and climbing. My phone was buzzing constantly with congratulations from tech leaders and investors worldwide. Mr. Chun, Jessica Torres approached with her camera crew. Would you care to comment on Phoenix Industries' revolutionary quantum computing breakthrough? In a moment, I said, then turned to my father. Dad, would you like that drink now? I believe this will be my last time serving it. Richard Chun, tech titan and controlling father, looked suddenly old and small. Lucas, I never what? Never saw what was right in front of you? Never bothered to look beyond your own expectations. I handed him a champagne flute. Consider this my last act of service, showing you what real innovation looks like. The screens were now showing Phoenix Industries' global reach. Offices in 40 countries, research labs advancing technology decades ahead of competitors, clean energy projects transforming entire regions. Tomorrow morning, I addressed the room. Every Chun Global employee will receive new stock options in Phoenix Industries. Unlike some people, I believe in sharing success. The future of technology isn't about control, it's about empowerment. Maya approached again. Sir, Elon Musk is on the line. He's interested in discussing our Mars colonization technology. James choked on his champagne. Mars colonization?